The story you're about to hear is a dramatic tale straight out of the Old West. A legendary story of an Indian gold discovery deep in the Rocky Mountains, a disgruntled Civil War soldier, a famous Indian chief, and a deadly snowstorm ending in starvation, murder, and cannibalism. It's the true account of one of the richest gold discoveries in modern times, and it continues even now. It truly may be the greatest treasure hunt in the West. In April of 1862, a young recruit in the Union Army named Alfred Packer dreams of heroics and glory in the greatest armed struggle the U.S. has ever known. But after only 8 months, Packer's well-concealed epilepsy finally betrays him, and he's discharged from military service. He decides to head west to make his fortune, intrigued by alluring tales of gold discoveries in the Rocky Mountains. After 9 years of uneventful work in the mining camps, Packer joins a group of prospectors departing Utah for the newly discovered gold fields of Breckenridge, Colorado. In January 1874, the starving and frostbitten party straggles into the village of an influential Ute Indian chief named Ouray. Ouray takes interest in the men's quest and tells them of an Indian gold discovery in the San Juan Mountains, deep in the heart of the Southwest Rockies. Ignoring the chief's warnings of deadly winter storms, Packer and 6 men set out in search of the gold. Arriving at the designated location, the small party is entrapped by a severe blizzard. Heavy snow makes locating the discovery site impossible. The men hunker down at the base of a mountain, which later becomes known as Gold Hill, to wait out the storm. As supplies run out, the men become desperate. The inexperienced prospectors are ill-prepared for the harsh conditions, and most certainly for the gruesome fate that awaits them. Packer turns up several weeks later, appearing well-fed at the Los Pinos Indian Agency, some 40 miles away, carrying a wallet, pistol, and a skinning knife belonging to his former companions. He tells a flimsy story about suffering frostbite and being abandoned by the rest of his group. Suspicion leads to his arrest, and he is eventually put on trial. Mystery still shrouds this tragic and gruesome tale, but according to trial transcripts, when one of the men succumbs to the severe cold and dies, his starving companions begrudgingly eat him. With no relief in sight, 3 more men are killed by hatchet blows to the head while they sleep. A 5th man later dies by pistol shots at close range. All were butchered and eaten. A jury convicts Packer for the murder of his 5 companions, and he is sentenced to death. On a technicality, the Colorado Supreme Court later commutes his sentence to 40 years imprisonment. A memorial to Packer's victims was later erected at the actual crime scene at the base of Gold Hill. A few years after the disastrous Packer expedition, a frenzy of prospecting activity is again focused on Gold Hill after the discovery of a boulder containing rich veins of gold at the base of the hill. Reportedly, the boulder assayed over 1,000 ounces per ton. Prospectors comb the hill and eventually uncover a series of gold-bearing veins, which are then staked and claimed. They name their discovery the Golden Wonder Mine. Work starts immediately. Shafts and tunnels are dug. Occasional pockets of extremely rich ore are encountered, but only just enough to cover expenses and keep their hopes up. When money finally runs out, the mine is abandoned. In 1939, John W. Vickers acquires ownership of the Golden Wonder. Vickers lives at the base of Gold Hill and works for the mine's previous owners. He has his own ideas about unlocking the Golden Wonder's secrets. With mining records in hand, Vickers makes the arduous trip to New York, where he convinces legendary financier Jules S. Bache to finance his quest for the motherlode. In 1969, Vicker's Golden Wonder story catches the attention of big Texas utility, Southern Union Company, who joins the search with modern mining techniques. Southern Union geologists pushed deeper into the mountain, encountering enriched zones that often exceed 100 ounces per ton. Then abruptly in 1972, the Southern Union Board decides to discontinue all their mining operations. Like the prospectors before them, they believe they're closing in on a major discovery, but time had run out. Golden Wonder operations continue sporadically until 1982, when ownership of the mine passes to a small company, which later becomes known as LKA Gold Incorporated. Convinced that the Golden Wonder hosts one of the richest gold deposits in the West, LKA spends the next 10 years paying off landowners and banks to consolidate its ownership position. The mine reopens in 1998. Limited amounts of rich gold ore are extracted and sold over the following 2 years. Then lightning strikes. A bonanza-grade ore chute is discovered just feet below the mine's 5th level. Veins widen and assays explode, often exceeding 150 ounces of gold per ton. With a crew of only 4 men, the mine yields over 133,000 ounces of gold, nearly $170 million at today's prices. Profit margins are astounding. An average production grade of 16 ounces of gold per ton establishes the Golden Wonder as the richest gold producer in modern times. But this remarkable story doesn't end here. When the initial discovery is mined out, the search begins in earnest for another ore chute. Geologists believe that high-grade deposits of this type are formed when gold-enriched boiling water from a volcano's magma chamber is forced up through the volcano's fractured vent system. As the water cools and the pressure is released, gold is deposited within the cracks and fissures of the vent system. These highly enriched vents are often referred to as ore chutes. And just as there are numerous vents in a volcano, there are quite likely multiple ore chutes, usually in close proximity to each other, possibly even larger and richer ones. In 2009, LKA begins a very surgical approach to locating the Golden Wonder's next big find. Exploratory mining generates over $5 million in gold sales, frequently teased with veins sampling up to 70 ounces of gold per ton. The hunt for the next ore chute is shaping up like the first one. Intriguing, but elusive. Kinross Gold, the world's 4th largest gold producer, joins the hunt in 2016 with a drilling program designed to probe newly discovered zones immediately adjacent to LKA's current workings. These new areas were found to possess characteristics remarkably similar to the original discovery. Despite encouraging early drill results, Kinross makes a policy decision to focus on its Nevada properties and pulls out of the project. While the Kinross withdrawal comes as a surprise, LKA is left with a trove of valuable data. Determined that drilling should continue, the company's largest shareholders fund a follow-up drilling program. Knowing that each time the drill probes the Golden Wonder's vent structure, there is real possibility for another major discovery. Drilling will commence as soon as possible. As the next chapter of this amazing story unfolds, you are invited to join LKA in the greatest treasure hunt in the West.